You know, I've made more than 12,000 videos on the Witness page and Street Wisdom Bible. And we've just recently opened this new page, Kim and Marin. And I'd like to go over something, right, that's very powerful. And believe me, it'll have a profound effect on your reality. Okay? You need a leap of faith here, and you need to feel the truth and feel what I'm saying to you. Don't think about it, just feel. You'll see in this timeline, okay, on the link to this post, this very title here, okay, there are 10 very powerful videos here that no one else is giving you this information, right? And it's powerful. And it will have a profound effect in your reality if you take the time to listen to them. It's 10 videos, which is completion from the Bible 1 to 10. And it has a powerful effect on your reality in the time that we're in right now, in the end times. And I put here 3 powerful testimonies yesterday, and 2 are made this morning, right? And in case you've missed them, I want you to please take the time to watch these 3 videos, because believe me, I'm going to teach you something no one else is teaching you, with the great resurrection of humanity, the crossover, the rebirth, with the most profound effect. If you look at my platforms, listen to my followers and their testimonies, trust me, you'll see something else happening here you won't find on any other platform in the world that will have a profound effect in your reality when you understand what the genuine rebirth is and the genuine crossover, the resurrection of humanity. I want to tell you something that's very important. When I was 5 years old, I told my mother about the worst moment in her life in 1943 in World War II, 1945, sorry, 15 years before I was born. She didn't know how to take this. But see, I could go into the past and into the future, okay, with the genetic memory and ancestry genetic tools. And I used them throughout my life and what's always called a freak of nature. But you know, Christ went to the Samaritan woman at 31 years old, okay, on the 1st of October 27, and told the Samaritan woman when he first said, I'm the Messiah, and he told her about the 5 husbands before he was born, right? Way before he was born, 20 years before he was born. And he knew everything about her, and same with a lot of other people. When you have a codependent relationship and you're in tune with the attunement to codependent power, you can feel the truth more powerful than you realize, with remote viewing, mental telepathy, ESP, telekinesis, okay, and also deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. You go in a time where time sense light preserves, with the 6th sense, through the 3rd eye, in a time where time sense light preserves, dimensional thinking, remote viewing, telekinesis, mental telepathy, and deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. Okay, and some of us has those tools, and they're called spiritual tools, right? Natural, supernatural power, divine power to command nature in your DNA, with genetic memory and a genetic process. And we have amnesia in this process, right, in most people in the world today, and we don't know how to use our natural abilities with natural selection and natural order, because we become artificial with atheism tools on anti-clockwise engineering. And that's a fact. Now we live in our mind too much, in our mentality, in our personality, and we don't know what we're doing anymore. That's why Christ said, we do not know what we're doing here. Okay, and this is the reason why I say this, right? Because we learn things by thinking outside the mind, over and above and beyond the mind. So powerful, you have no idea what the mind doesn't know. And we bring people through this adverse effect, right, through a 40-day test with a crossover, right, and think outside the mind where things are amazing. And you can use 100% your brain and not be restricted to only 7 to 15%. Because a world with the highest IQ can only use up to 15% of the brain. This is how you use 100%, crossing over. And believe me, you never suffer the consequence of again. No more stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, or paranoia. No more stress and anxiety. Our body cells can corrupt collision during the daytime, anti-clockwise, and can only repair 3.5 hours a night. This is clockwise. When you go clockwise, you repair 24 hours a day with longevity. And it's a natural ability code in our own DNA, and we follow the right footsteps. So I want to let you know something, okay? I started my life like this, okay? And I've been told to deliver this because I'm not in charge of my vessel, okay? As spirituality is, right, a primordial being. And you do not know who I am in my vessel because it's only human experience. DNA is the book of life, right? And DNA is our innate technology, so we're just a messenger or an actor for someone else. When we can only 7 to 15% brain and we live in our mind, we act for someone else because we don't know how to master the mind. When we master the mind, we become a messenger. We're the most powerful messengers on earth. We're divine power to command nature. Okay? Where I can do what Christ can and more, and so can you, because it's in your genetic process, in your own DNA. You can do everything I can and more. Just like Christ said, go back to your childhood, go back in your innocence and cross over, and trust me, it's a profound effect in your reality. With the universal language, with the vortex of information, with sevenfold wisdom laws, and wow, when you go through this adverse effect, you break free from amnesia, and holy crap. It's beyond explanation. It's an unbelievable event. And you have to feel the truth and go through it yourself, and I go into all the explanations through these testimonies. It's powerful, and it's so powerful you do not know what you're missing out on, and the mind's got no idea because it limits you. Trust me, it's the truth that's going to set you free with the most powerful liberation in the world, where we create heaven and earth for 1,000 years with longevity, and we're all in the Christ image with the same tools in our DNA, with genetic memory, genetics, ancestry tools in our own DNA. In dormancy right now, and that's how I wake you up from amnesia and go into this adverse effect for a transformation. That's amazing stuff. Christ went under 40 days, right, hunger strike, okay, went walkabout, right, went for a powerful adverse effect to face a demon within. And I go into a lot of information about this, and then he comes back at 24 and discovers who he is with amnesia. He learned reincarnation, life after life, and the first thing he says at 24 when he discovered who he is, he said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham. So he has a genetic memory. So he goes into a time where time stands still with days show to predict the future of everyone's going to happen. And he knew everybody from that moment onwards with codependent relationship with the universal language, right? By being in tune in codependent EMP pulses, which is righteousness, loyalty, honor, respect, moral inspiration, encouragement, the relationship. And the relationship's so powerful, you have a two-way street here, right? It's a codependent feeling. And when you're connected to the Father like this, the Father comes in you with codependent relationship. And that's why it's the meaning of life, okay? When you understand who you are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is, oh boy, it's a hell of a ride. And I want to explain something to you that you're all familiar with. Do you remember the boogeyman, the monster bear? Your mum says the dream, go back to sleep, but he could terrify you, and a child's completely innocent, he can feel the truth, and some kids can see the shadows, angelic beings. Some kids have imaginary friends. Some have them for their life and can't talk about it. It's a forbidden subject. Everyone says their dream, go back to sleep, and you're crazy. So I had a blessing where the boogeyman come to me and I saw the shadow, and he scared the living shit out of me. On a nightly basis, my mum says, a dream, go back to sleep, and I saw him go over there and hover across my mum, just like that movie you see with the kids in the restaurant, and he can see the shadow hovering over everyone else, but not him, he can see him, right? Think about that for a moment. And they make movies about this for a reason, okay? And if you go look at the studies done from decade after decade, you'll see a lot of kids see a shadow, and they're innocent. Okay, when people take drugs, they're known as true serums, and when they have, when they get paranoid, they see shadows chasing them. Oh man, can you see all those people chasing me outside? Can't you see them, man? They're just out there, man, and they're looking at the window for about 2 hours, and you think they're paranoid, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're in that dimension field, and those shadows chase them because they can see them. Because they can see them, they chase them, right? And they're curious. If you look at Creepier FT1 Australia, you'll see this video where two SAS members at Area 51, right? They have a real creepy experience where 3 Aboriginals, 10 feet tall, black as the ace of spades, right? They hear a noise go boom, 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 and all of a sudden 3 10 feet tall shadows, okay, dark black people appear, and they get shit scared, terrified. Watch the video, Creepy FT1 Australia on YouTube. Listen to what they say. If you look at the movie Crocodile Dundee, you see an Aboriginal in the background disappear and reappear, out of the blue. There's a lot of movies made in Australia, or series, documentaries, where Aboriginals disappear and reappear. Think about that for a moment. Just think about it. Open up your mind. They showed in movies. They showed on different things in Australia many times. Think about the men light in Australia, right? They also call them the watchers that watch over them. And if you really listen carefully to men lights on YouTube, there's many videos in there. They send most people in the abyss because they're mental in a personality with mentality, but not spirituality. A guy in Western Australia, New South Wales, Western New South Wales, you'll find a video there of a white person, okay, before the Min light comes to his place, he feels a powerful relationship. A relationship. He feels it before they come. And they come there with a relationship. Okay? A powerful relationship where you feel the influence on your reality with the quantum mechanics of a relationship. Okay? And it's a divine intervention. I can guarantee you it's so divine, you have no idea unless you feel something like this. Now, here you will find on YouTube, and you'll find videos made about this guy, and you'll see a reporter from Sydney. They invited 150 people out from Sydney for the first time in history. And when they came out there, the Orbs of light came in, several of them. The ones that were with Enoch for 360 years, the ones in the Bible, trust me, you need to have a bit of faith and listen to me carefully. They came there with 150 people twice. Twice they invited 150 people that were reporters. They'd done stories in magazines. They were there and they came out. And for the first time in history, what did they all feel? A powerful relationship. Even the reporter talks about this, the relationship. And she was dumbfounded and speechless. When I was a child and the boogeyman came that scared the living shit out of me on a nightly basis, one night he came in, and you know, he never done nothing, he just scares you, but never done anything, right? And an orb of light came in, the same orb of light, the Min light, and wow, I was terrified and innocent as a child. I was terrified of the boogeyman. I was terrified of the boogeyman. And then an orb of light came in, I felt a relationship straight away. I felt the love all pouring all over me. And I thought, the Father scared the living shit out of me. And he drove me into the sun. And that's the first thing I thought, because that's what I felt. And I was just a child. I hadn't been program education yet. I had no idea how to explain this any other way except for exactly how it is. The first thing I felt was, the Father scared the living shit out of me and drove me into the sun. And the sun came to save me with a relationship. And that's what I felt. And then the Father and the Son left together. I swear, they both left together. My mum and dad said I was crazy. I was dreaming. I was having a stupid moment. But when boogeyman came in the nightly basis, my mum said she had a dream, go back to sleep. He hovered over the top of my mum and whispered in her ear. And she told me I was dreaming. And he's laughing right in front of my face. Because I could see him, right? I could feel him, I could see him. And he never hurt me, right? And because I could see him, he brought his son. And I knew that straight away. It's the way I felt. He brought his son. And as soon as the orb of light came in the window, it's like, oh, wow. And he sat there with me, right, from 10:30 at night till about 2:30 in the morning. And what an experience as a child when I was innocent. But the boogeyman never came back. He left with a child. And it's a fact. Okay, I'm just telling you exactly what I went through. And I learned a lot from this. A hell of a lot. And I make a lot of bits about it. Right? Why this will have an inflection point on you, and why you will relate to these things, and why things will make sense to you that we never talk about. Forbidden secret knowledge and forbidden language, right? About the way we feel things. Not the way we think, but the way we feel. And have abilities that's beyond the mind with supernatural power and supernatural events. And I have some of the most powerful events because I have an angel watching over me, my imaginary friend, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But it's been there throughout my life with many events. Most powerful events ever recorded in modern history. Fully recorded with events. And I'm not trying to put tickets in myself. I want you to have a leap of faith and listen to what I'm saying to you. I got put in a certain path, okay? And I ended up in the outback of Australia, okay? Now, I made a lot of videos about my ex-wife, a video I made earlier today about a powerful bit of information. She was raped by her dad and came from Alice Springs, right? And she went walkabout all the time from 12 years old onwards. She used to go walk about for 2 or 3 days. And no one understood what she was going through when she'd been raped by her dad. Okay, so she used to go walkabout, and she used to go to the Australian Aboriginals in the outback. She went to a special, right, a very special group that was right off the grid. And she found more love, okay, more compassion, and felt more protected by these people in the bush than anybody else. And she used to tell me these stories. She used to tell me these stories. And I went through a lot of adverse effects in my life. But in 1997, I went to the Outback, right, into Alice Springs. And I had a massive calling. I can't explain any other way than the way I'm going to explain it to you. I had a massive calling. I felt the frequencies. I felt the power. I felt the most positive atmosphere on earth, recorded by National Geography. In 2007, they made the Alice, and she sits there at the end of the program, and she says, you know, you have known me for more than 20 years, and I've taken you to the best location in the world, okay, with the best atmosphere on earth, some 2 or 3 or 4 times, she says. And she says with her own words, she says, you know, it's 4 months ago we did the shoot in the Outback of Alice. And you know, I have to tell you something. It's the most positive and most beautiful, amazing atmosphere I've ever felt in my life. And it calls you. It's been calling me for the last 4 months. It calls your heart like there's something about this. Something that calls your heart. And this is what she says. And I've known people to say this. Okay? I've met quite a few numbers that have the same feeling, a few people that's made the same feeling. I met an old couple in Alice Springs that owns the Gap Motel. They had a beautiful house at Harvey Bay. They wanted the beach home and build a beautiful home, but they wanted to retire with a bit more money. So they bought a hotel, which is quite big in Alice Springs, called the Gap Hotel. They went out there for a few years and bought it cheap to make enough money to retire. They already built their Harvey Bay home, the beachfront home, a beautiful home. So they went out here and bought this motel to work for a couple of years and make money and to fully retire on the beachfront home. When it was time to go and sell out, okay, they put a manager and then put up a sale, and they went back to Queensland, to the Harvey Bay home. And they didn't talk to each other, right, for the next week. They were very grumpy, both of them, without realising it. And you know what it was? It was amazing. We went out there in 97, staying at the Gap Motel, got to know these people very well. And they asked us to come and have a barbecue, right? On Sundays, they had a restaurant, okay, a small restaurant, and it was closed on Sundays. They had their own personal barbecue that day. And they asked us to come and have lunch with them. So we went and had lunch with them, right? And I'll never forget them saying, right, they were not desert people. They never thought about living in the desert. They were beach people home, and they built a home on the beach, right? And they just did this for retiring. When they moved out and then lived there for a few years, they went back home. And it wasn't home anymore. They didn't have that feeling anymore. It was lost, it was gone. And they felt homesick, and they couldn't talk to each other. They couldn't communicate because they both made a decision to do this and didn't know how to tell the other. They didn't know how to talk to each other, right? So they walked around bumping each other for about a week. And one day it sort of came up like, what's wrong? What's going on? What is wrong? Why aren't we talking? And they both sat down and realised they were homesick. Because the place called out so bad, they just wanted to go back home. And so they sold out in Harvey Bay and moved back out, then stayed there for good before they sold out. And it's one of the most beautiful stories when you feel the story, right? And when I was out there, I had this calling. And I had this calling. Went right out in the Kings Canyon, about 270 k's north of Alice, right northwest. And trust me, I went to the best location in the world. The most powerful influence I've ever had in my reality. And these men lights came and guided me there and took me to this place. And I met these 10-foot tall giants. And when I met them, I just felt the love pouring all over me. I've never felt nothing in my life like it. Never in my entire life have I felt something like this, right? And when I got near them, their aura was so powerful. Jeremy Griffiths calls them the most powerful spiritual beings on earth. The most positive, loving, compassionate creatures. And believe me, for the first time we had a pleasure. They have a sixth sense so powerful to stay away from Westerners because they killed them all their families, all their children. 450 years old. We bombed them and killed them all. We killed 72,000, drained their blood in Queensland alone in 1929. We bombed them all in the 40s and the 50s. You can go and look it up. The Stolenberg generation. We killed millions of them. And they had this wonderful, unbelievable aura and create 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutrition. And the most powerful fauna on earth when I went out there, my God, The nutrition manual was off tap, nothing like I ever tasted before in my life. Trees bend down to them and communicate with them. They could levitate on one sun's stone. They could do things that's beyond the mind. And they just empty your mind when you go near them. Like you don't exist, man. Every voice in your mind, everything you ever come to know, right, just disappears, man. And you just literally fall on your knees, man, and just gobsmacked and speech like, holy crap. Never before in your life have you felt love pouring over you like this, right? From these midlights of watchers and these 10-foot giants, man. The elderly, the eldest man. And wow, wow. And some of these people, right? Dimensional beings that walk in and out of dimensions, right? They're up to 5,000 years old. And I met Enoch and the disciples, and they're all elderly blacks, and you wouldn't believe it in a million years. But I had the most profound effect on my reality. The most unbelievable confirmation, and when I was taken out there, I felt the love I've never felt before in my life. I felt the influence and the power that they have in their aura that spreads like a virus and affects the whole place out there. The whole goddamn place, so powerful that nobody ever meets these people, but they feel them. You can feel them for miles. You can feel the locations in different places, how powerful it is, right? And there's something that takes your breath away and you never forget. And there's nothing you can ever do in your life to ever forget. Forget such a feeling. Such a profound effect that has the most profound effect in your reality that you've ever felt in your life. And it's exactly like the rebirth. It's exactly the same as the crossover. It's the most powerful love pouring all over you. And they have that ability right here on earth. They create heaven and earth. They have the most powerful influence, the most spiritual human beings on earth. And my God, you feel the love pouring all over you when you go near them. It leaves you gobsmacked and speechless. And the most holy divine intervention and the most powerful love you've ever felt in your life. And wow, you can't even express it. And people think you're crazy on drugs, when in fact, we are mentally insane compared to them. We're mental. We don't feel love like this. They do. And they can change all the fauna and the nature because they have that kind of relationship. Okay, and that's what the Bible teaches. That's what Christ is trying to teach us. That's what Moses taught 40,000 Israelites in the desert, right? How to create paradise in a desert. And they're not telling the story right, but it's true. It's true. When you go back into Primal state, you have the power to do things like this that you've never had before in your life. And Christ knew that. And that's why Moses and Christ used bread manna. Bread manna is a conductor that gives you the power with your sacred secretion to use your thick sense. And when you live in your spirituality and not in your mentality, holy shit. And that's the first thing you feel. You feel your spiritual feeling, your instinctive connection, your codependent feelings, and that kind of relationship. And holy crap, there are no words on earth good enough to express it. There just isn't. And that's why we teach the 40-day test of the crossover and find out how these things work in your body, in your DNA, with genetic memory and a genetic process to go back in your spirituality, back in your primal state, in your innocence. And believe me, it's profounding, it's powerful, and more powerful than anything else that you've ever felt before in your life. The resurrection of humanity, the crossover, is so powerful, it's so far beyond the mind. The mind's the problem. The mind's the oppressor. Okay? Your spirituality is suppressed by your own personality and your own mentality, and you don't even know, with amnesia, because you don't remember how to feel these things. You don't follow your feelings, you follow your mind. You come to your own conclusion with reasoning, your mind believing your own truth, right? I'm reverse psychology engineering, okay? With reasoning. And reasoning is the agent of fears because it's 5 senses in negative fears, and we're so negative compared to this. We have no idea what we're doing in our mind. Trust me, that's the first thing you learn about this. Thinking outside the mind and feeling it. Feeling it so powerful, you can't get it wrong. You can't ever make a mistake again, and you realize you feel this. And I go through the most powerful adverse effect of how you feel with your own aura, with your own body cells, where it's so powerful, it's so far beyond the mind that you realise your mind plays tricks and games in you, and you are your own worst enemy, your own prison, your own water in here, and it's a long dark cave you're living in. And when you stick your head for the light of the eternal, holy crap, you feel the truth right here, heaven and earth, and then you know how to develop it, how to use the same tools and be connected with that kind of relationship, to be selfless completely, and all the voices go in your mind because they push them out of your mind, man. They push your five senses out. When you go near them, it's boom, right? And all you feel is love. And you think, holy crap. And you're speechless, you're dumbfounded, and it's just like amazing. Absolutely beyond explanation. And we have the same ability in our own DNA because that's what you learn through this. You learn to go back in your primal state with the correct tools and make a natural selection and a natural order in your own body and your own DNA, because you can get the genetic memory to do every single thing that Christ can and more with the unconditional love, with the meaning of life love. And that's what it's all about. And the quantum mechanics of that relationship. Believe me, I know. And once you feel this and you go through the right process and the things that I teach here, you can see my testimonies right from my followers going through this. And you really got to learn to stop thinking and stop selecting unnaturally with the mind. Because when you break free from the own mind, you break free from the mind and the personality and the mentality, and that's what controls you by thinking outside the mind. And holy crap, that's exactly what it is, man. It's so far beyond the mind, you're speechless, right? But believe me, it's a whole new way of thinking with a vortex of information with sevenfold whistleblowers. And trust me, I know. And if you go through this, you will know. You'll feel it. You'll see it with your own eye. You will go to the light in the tunnel and it will show you. And you'll feel the truth of sticking your head through the light in the tunnel where the sun's a light shining on the other side and the grass is a lot greener, and you get a massive clarification. And you can never get it wrong again. And you go through the rebirth and cross over like this, and you'll never go back. You'll never get deceived ever again. You'll never go back in your mind. You'll never go back in mentality into a personality ever again. You'll break free from it and you'll control your vessel from the outside in. And wow, what an amazing experience. And if it wasn't for this, I would never have known. That's the way God worked for me and put me through this path. With the most powerful divine intervention and the most powerful love I've ever felt in my life. The most high. So high. Wow. And I just don't want you to miss out. Okay? The Father doesn't want you to miss out. Trust me, I know. Please watch my videos, okay? And learn this. And it's the most powerful influence of reality, the most powerful love, the most powerful freedom, and the liberation. It's absolutely amazing. You can do everything Christ can and more by following the right footsteps and practice what I preach. When I breathe and program, the Holy Breath of Life, and the book Freedom by Jim Gibbs, how to be the Holy Grail of life. Trust me, DNA is the book of life, and that's what we're told in the Bible. Okay, the last book to be written is the book of life, and it's DNA, it's genetic memory, and a genetic process. We can all do what Christ can and more to go back in that image, to be innocent, in a new time where time sits still and life preserves, right? In a time not of sevenfold whistleblowers for 1,000 years to create heaven and earth. And trust me, I know. Follow my footsteps and you'll know too, yourself. Trust me, you'll feel it and you'll see it, and you'll have the greatest confirmation you've had in your life. You can't go wrong with this, and you can't fail. Okay, you cannot fail.